Hey monsters! Thanks for tuning in to Murder Murder News, the true crime cult for the latest breaking news, murdery memes, TV reviews, podcast recommendations, and all things spooky. It's the most spooky time of the year, and we want to invite you to celebrate the Halloween season by joining our true crime cult. We'll sit around and braid our hair like we're Wednesday Addams while petting baby goats and talking about true crimes we want to solve together. I'm television's Aurora Katie.
And I'm your online murder friend, Angelina. Cults are no fun alone, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell all of your true crime friends to join the commune at MURDERMURDER.NEWS. This is the Week in True Crime. When New Hampshire Fish and Game received reports of someone illegally camping at a site near Errol, they were surprised to find a shaken woman alone in the woods trying to manage the aftermath of a deeply disturbing crime. "I'm in big trouble," muttered 31-year-old Britany Barron, as officials discovered a large object at the site covered in tarps and branches, which turned out to be a car belonging to 25-year-old Jonathan Amaro, and a smaller object, wrapped in a tarp, lying in the creek, which turned out to be his body. Britany described her ongoing nightmare to police. Last Saturday, her husband, 30-year-old Armando Barron, went through her phone and discovered she had been having an affair with Jonathan Amaro, who she met at work at Teleflex Medical OEM, a medical supply company. Armando reacted by viciously beating Britany, at one point sticking a gun in her mouth in front of the couple's 9-year-old daughter and strangling her until she passed out. Armando then used Britany's cell phone to lure Jonathan to Annette State Park. Late Saturday night, the couple drove to meet Jonathan, Armando allegedly assaulting Britany again on the way. Britany says Armando ordered her to shoot her lover, but she refused to put her finger on the trigger. Next, the jealous husband snatched back the gun, forcing Amaro into his own gray Subaru Impreza. Inside the car, Armando commanded that Britany slit Jonathan's wrists, and she complied. Armando then fired 3 shots, striking Jonathan in the chest and head, killing him. It was then that Armando urged Britany to take the wheel and drive Jonathan's body to the campsite in Errol, where the Barron family had frequently camped. Armando followed behind in his own car. In Errol, Armando stopped to pick up some supplies, including tarps, lighter fluid, cleaning products, and a shovel. In the woods, the Barrons set up camp and got to work on a plan to get rid of the body and any evidence of the murder. Britany alleged that Armando forced her to decapitate her boyfriend, insisting that she bury the head separately from the body so their victim would not easily be identified by dental records. The plan was for Armando to take Jonathan's phone and send text messages to his friends and family so no one grew suspicious. But fearing it was too late for that, Armando smashed the phone instead. Armando left his wife alone in the woods, and she says he demanded that she take care of the body and any evidence before his return on Friday. He communicated to her that once the sun came up that morning, he would forgive her, police wrote in a statement. Jonathan Amaro was reported missing on Monday when he didn't show up to work. A man who says he was Jonathan's best friend wrote this on Facebook. "He was murdered and left alone for 4 days. I am disgusted, I am angry, and terribly sad." Britany called into work to say she wouldn't be in on Monday and that she was planning on quitting. She says her husband told her to text friends at work to say she was taking some time off to clear her head, but that she was okay. After speaking to a friend of Britany's, investigators were shown text messages that Britany sent on Sunday and Monday saying that she planned to move to New Mexico, where her sister lives, to get a fresh start. Britany was arrested on Tuesday when she was found in the woods near Errol, and, after explaining her side of the story, she was charged with falsifying evidence, for mutilating and concealing Amaro's body, and for attempting to clean his car. Armando was arrested on Wednesday when he was found driving a Toyota Tundra that had been reported missing by his stepfather. Armando and Britany's 9-year-old daughter was in the car with him. He explained to officers that he was taking the girl camping so he could explain to her that her parents would be getting a divorce. He explained that the last time he had seen Britany was when he dropped her off at the side of the road near Temple Mountain that weekend, and she said she was going camping with friends. Armando was charged with assaulting his wife and murdering Jonathan Amaro. Britany Barron's attorney, Richard Guerrero, explained that she only participated in the crimes because she was under extreme duress and feared for her life. Guerrero argued for her release with electronic monitoring, stating she was beyond cooperative. It's hard to imagine being beaten like that, threatened with your life, being fearful, and then cooperating with the police, but that's what she did. Assistant Attorney General Scott Chase argued that she was only cooperative after she got caught, and suggested there were several moments in which Britany could have gone for help, including during the long drive to Errol and while alone at the campsite. Had this defendant successfully destroyed that evidence, her husband, the alleged murderer, may very well have evaded detection and/or apprehension, he said. In her mugshot, Britany is pictured with 2 black eyes and looks badly beaten. It's clear she was extremely distraught. Both parties have pleaded not guilty to the charges against them, and both have been detained.
19-year-old Maria Malveiro and 23-year-old Mariana Fonseca are preparing for trial for the murder of 21-year-old Diogo Gonçalves in a bizarre story that sounds like an episode of Deadly Women or Snapped. Maria and Mariana are a couple from Portugal who decided to rob Diogo, who was working as an IT technician, after he had told Maria he had recently received a €70,000 payout for a hit-and-run death of his mother 4 years earlier. According to Portugal resident, Maria believed Diogo had a crush on her, and the two had been friends, so the two women plotted to trick Diogo by offering him a lap dance at his home and instead coercing him into giving them his PIN number for his bank account. But things didn't go as planned. On March 18th, Maria and Mariana drugged his orange juice with diazepam, tied him to a chair, and tortured him with strangulation. Diogo fought back, and the two claimed that the strangulation just went too far due to the struggle. Yet they also claimed that they were inspired by the show Dexter and the idea of vigilante justice. I couldn't find any information on whether or not the women had any reason to want to take vigilante justice against Diogo, but whatever their plan was, it went too far and they strangled him to death. And it's about to get more gruesome. It was difficult to find reliable information on Diogo's murder because many of the articles covering the story in Portugal are tabloids and really sensationalize the story, referring to the couple as lesbian lovers. It does appear that after murdering him, they used his fingerprints to break into his bank account on his phone. Some stories say they cut off his fingers to access his bank account and continuing accessing his social media accounts so his friends and family would think everything was okay. They dismembered him with a meat cleaver, transported it in his own car, and attempted to dispose of his body by throwing it over a cliff at Cape St. Vincent in Sagres in an attempt to make it look like a suicide. Apparently his torso didn't make it into the water, which helped preserve the evidence at the crime scene. Maria and Mariana are now being indicted for murder, desecrating a body, computer fraud, and using a stolen vehicle. We're going to continue to keep you updated on this trial at MURDERMURDER.NEWS, and we also want to hear what you think about this bizarre story in the comments below.
That's funny about the tabloid and the lesbian lovers, huh? I'm like, I want to start writing articles that say like heterosexual lovers. Like, yeah, I put it that way.
That is such a good comparison. It's just so ridiculous. And at first I was kind of doubting whether or not they were even a couple, right? Because, you know, like, who knows? I'm not sure what reporting is like in Portugal, right? But it could have just been like two women friends. It does appear that they were a couple and that they were girlfriends and had been for a while, but calling them lovers, like, it's just
that's kind of disrespectful to relationships, but cool.
Super disrespectful. Right.
This week, we're watching A Wilderness of Error on FX and Hulu. The 5-part series examines the evidence in case against Jeffrey MacDonald, who was convicted of murdering his pregnant wife and 2 daughters in 1979. In February of 1970, military police were called to the MacDonald residence to investigate a disturbance. They arrived to the grisly sight of Colette, Jeffrey's wife, stabbed to death on the floor, and Jeffrey passed out next to her. The children had also been stabbed in their bedrooms. Jeffrey claimed the murder of his family resembled that of the Manson murders, with 3 crazed hippies breaking in and chanting, "Kill the pigs." Police doubted Jeffrey's story from the beginning, and he was ultimately convicted for the murders. The first 3 episodes of A Wilderness of Error aired this past weekend, and the final 2 are available on FX and Hulu today.
We are so excited to have Sunny and Brandy with us from this week's favorite podcast, Book of Lies. Sunny and Brandy are 2 sisters discussing real-life liars, frauds, fakes, and photos who lie, lie, lie. Thanks so much for joining us, Brandy and Sunny. How are you both doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm so great. I could not be more excited to have you both here, so I'm in a fantastic mood.
Right on. I'm good too.
Awesome. Well, I love your podcast because, like, personally, I'm big into true crime. I really do love murder stories, but occasionally I need a break from like all of the gore and such that comes along with murder, and I like a good con story. Which, like, I love that you all focus on doing cons and scams instead. It's such an interesting, like, retelling of true crime. So what inspired you to start your podcast together?
We both, at the time that we started the podcast, we were both working other businesses, other like independent contractor type businesses. And I was like, we should do a podcast about our businesses and call it this, but that never happened. So one day we were at lunch, and it was all of us. We went on a game show. We applied and tried out for a game show. And so we had lunch afterwards. Yeah. And
My husband.
Yeah, her husband. I keep a little notebook with me that I write down like all my ideas and stuff in. And so I was writing in it, and he was like, "What is that? Your little book of lies?" And so Sunny was like, "That's what we should call our podcast." And then I was like, "Okay, but then what would it be about?" And then she was like, "What did you say?"
No, you started talking about Anna Delvey. You were yeah. I was like, we should talk about liars or something. And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, have you heard about this socialite?
Oh yeah,
the Soho grifter." And she pretty much pitches one of our episodes to us at the table. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's gonna be our podcast. We need to do it." And like maybe 2 or 3 days later, we did Firefest. That was our first episode. But we finally recorded something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a year and a half later, here we are.
You are. And those are such great cases. Like, sometimes I forget how much I really love scams until I hear some of these like big high profile ones. Like, God, like both of those, like the Fire Festival is so good. And Adelphi, like, what a wild world we live in.
They're crazy.
Yeah. That's like, the whole Firefest debacle was what fascinated me, because I was like, how did all of these people pay all of this money to go to this basically a shit show, you know?
Yes.
But it was in the Bahamas, so it has to be good, right? And so you've been to the Bahamas.
Shit
Have
show.
you been to the Bahamas? Yeah, have you been there? Have you been to the Bahamas?
I have not. I would love to go, but not under those circumstances.
Right. Hot and sweaty and like bugs. And I mean, it's nice if you can get to a nice place, like if you're on like a beach or you've got a drink in your hand or you've got AC. But these people that went to Firefest, they would just have tents in the middle of nowhere, and they were screwed.
Disaster. Like, it's really the worst possible vacation you can imagine, from like like being reported by also some of like the worst people in the world, like Instagram influencers.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Just so bad, all of it. So bad and so good. Well, what is your scam? Yeah, so cringy. So what is your scam origin? What got you into liking scams in the first place?
Well, that, and then like hearing about Anna Delvey, but like I've been scammed a few times in my when I was like, after I had my son, and like in my early 20s, I didn't have a job and I was trying to make money, and I got basically ripped off by one of those. It was back when the penny saver was around, and they have their job postings, and it was like stuff envelopes and make, like $1 per envelope or something. And I ended up buying their envelopes and the flyers that were supposed to be stuffed in these envelopes. And then this basically a bunch of, like, I think it was like 1,000 address labels, and I stuffed these envelopes. I put them in the thing, but then it was like, oh, it was basically a Ponzi scheme. Like, you put $1 in this envelope and then you send $1 to the person who sent you this envelope. And then like, basically it was like, oh, well, you're just going to collect cash through the mail. And I was like, I'm not putting $1 in all these envelopes. That's crazy.
No.
So I just stuffed the envelopes and sent them. And then I was like, I just lost, because I think I paid like $99 for the whole thing to do. And I was just like, I just got screwed. And yeah, I was like 20. I had my son when I was 21. So yeah, I was like 21. And I was just like, I am broke. I need money. And I thought that I could make money that way. And it was wrong. It was so wrong.
I think it kind of came up organically in regards to us deciding to focus on like fraud or scams. Like, you know, we were like, okay, Book of Lies, that'll be, you know, our name. So, you know, she presented that case. And then I was like, all right, let's go down this rabbit hole. And then our next episode was Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
And so we just like kind of, it hit us like, you know, like Book of Lies podcast. And then we're like, fraud. And then as we keep going down the rabbit hole and all these different topics and subjects, it's so interesting. It's messed up, you know, but it's
most
just
of them are real messed
so
up.
good. And, you know, we kind of just say it like it is. Like I say on the podcast how I'm thinking, and it's just like, I would think this, like, what a fucking asshole, what a jerk, you know? And so we just kind of project that through our podcast, and it, you know, that's just.
Yeah. I mean, like some of them, like the whole Firefest one and the Anna Delvey one were funny to me, because I was like, you really thought you were going to get away with this stuff.
Yeah.
But then like the ones like Bernie Madoff and like people who are like losing their life savings, those are just messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so messed up. And it's amazing that like, you know, like some of these like lower level crooks like kind of get away with it, like, you know, like for a little bit, but they end up getting caught. But then there are some big high profile, like rich people can get away with anything for like any amount of time. So yeah, it's just bizarre.
It is.
Well, you've covered so many great cases. The two that you've mentioned, also the opioid crisis with addiction and Lance Armstrong. Out of all of the scams you've researched, which one has been your favorite or the most interesting for you?
The most interesting, there's a bunch that I'm like, that are like, just like off the wall that I think are funny. Like, oh gosh, I forgot what her name was. Belle Gibson. Yeah. The one, the makeup lady, the one that was like in the 1800s, basically blackmailing
the
socialites who were putting on makeup because you weren't allowed to wear makeup at that time.
From hell.
Yeah.
Beautician from hell.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so, you know, her name was Lady, I can't remember what her name was.
I want to call her Rebecca, but
it might have been. But yeah, it was just like, even at that time, like they're exploiting women, or she's exploiting women who are vain, and they're paying these crazy prices just to be able to wear makeup or like do like skincare. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell the whole society that you're wearing makeup. And it's like, you know, to us, it's like, okay, makeup. But like at the time, it was just like something just so odd that society frowned upon women that were wearing makeup. And this was an opportunity where she could totally just like screw people out of money to keep their secrets.
I love it.
So weird.
It's crazy. Like people will exploit you. And I think like our message is just like, hey, you know, be careful. Like you may think that this person has your best interest, but if someone can exploit you and they can get in where they fit in and they just don't have the, you know, your well-being or whatever.
They're unscrupulous.
And it's just like, you can't trust anybody. That's what I've learned from this podcast. That you can't trust anybody at all. You can't trust the food that they're giving you. You can't trust people in your DM. You can't trust anybody. But I trust you in my DM, girl.
we trust each other. This is good. We're all cool. But everyone else, no.
No. One of the interesting ones I think was I liked our, okay, I didn't like it, but I liked our Casey Anthony episode. And the reason I liked that episode was because like the case happened so long ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what should I do? And I got to bring my best friend onto the podcast because she was really heavily following the case at the time, and she's a lawyer. So I was like, okay, let's do this collaboration. And I just felt like it was really well received. You know, everybody was like, oh my God, I needed to hear this story because Casey Anthony was
she's trash.
She is trash.
She's the worst. She's the worst. And I'm sure she's a sociopath as well. But
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to kind of revisit the case for what it was and to just, you know, call her out as to who she was and the way she was behaving and what she did to her daughter. So,
because we know you did it,
we know you did it.
She absolutely deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having both of you today. Can you let our viewers know where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can catch us on Instagram at Book of Lies Podcast, on Twitter at Book of Lies Pod. We're on Facebook. I am going to try and like make the group a little bit better, but it's Book of Lies Podcast on Facebook as well. Or you can go to our website at bookofliespodcast.com and you can find us there and catch all of our episodes.
Awesome. And be sure to subscribe to Book of Lies wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. Yes.
We are having a big giveaway, and you could win a big basket of murder merch just for registering at the MURDERMURDER.NEWS commune. The prize basket includes our Murder Murder News tote bag and t-shirt, a Stay Spooky shirt in any size you like from Stay Lucky Boutique, a killer necklace from Forensic Miles, this Son of a Witch zip pouch from DK Lee Shop, a Good Wine and True Crime sticker from Lacey Olson, and this Talk Murder to Me mug from Mug Matters Studio. All of this awesome murder merch is worth over $150 with no purchase necessary. All you have to do is go to MURDERMURDER.NEWS and register your account and let us shower you with true crime presents. We'll have 2 winners, one in the US and one in Canada, and we'll announce the winners live on our channel in October. We love reading your comments as long as you're not a troll. And we wanted to thank Food Makeup Skin for commenting that she needs to watch No One Saw a Thing because it sounds like the mystery vibes she's been needing.
Thanks also to Life with a Stethoscope for commenting that she also loves true crime and Bachelor. Definitely check out Crime and Roses because they're seriously the best.
Thanks so much for tuning into This Week in True Crime with Murder Murder News. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up, and tell all of your true crime friends.
If you just can't get enough true crime, join our commune at MURDERMURDER.NEWS for a monster book club and cold case solving groups. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. See you next week.